Kangor, the former station and hub of scientific and genetic research of the Old Kings, still has surprises in its cryotombs and latent labs. A breach of unknown origin has led to the release of a deadly pathogen. It ravages the minor world, quickly infecting the bulk of the population. With no choice but to quarantine the planet, the Klingon High Council sends aid from orbit, waiting for the virus to burn itself out. And welcome to Lost Stars. Hi everybody, my name's Tony Morrow. Thank you for joining me here on Saturday at 2:30 Pacific time for our Star Trek Lost Stars live stream. I am going to apologize in advance if my voice sounds a little rough. I am drinking warm, in this case coffee, to try and smooth it out, but I'm trying to kill a cold and it's fighting back hard. So I appreciate your patience as we work through this little sip here. All right. So, as you may have seen in the title for this and the thumbnail for this this live stream, the theme is a stranger in the dark. But before we get to that, I want to address the little bumper, the trailer, the short video that you just saw there about the pandemic on Kangor. So, in order for me to do that, let me switch over to our map. So here you can see we have our map, and I'm just going to open up, actually I'll switch screens here, my apologies. And here you're going to see the overall map, and I'm just going to pull up the Klingon capital and zoom in here so you can see what I'm looking at. And of course it doesn't seem to make a difference. Lovely. As you can see here, this is what we call our capital system. So let me scroll over so you can take a better look here. And I'll just take away the ships so it's easier to see. There we are. So here in the very center, we have the star. The star is our capital system. Think of it like our solar system here with the sun and the earth and so on. So in our solar system, here in the Klingon Empire, we have our homeworld. We are titled that as Kronos. We have a minor or developing world called Kangor, and then we have a small colony that's grown into a developing colony or one step above a colony, and that's called Kadrak. So Kangor had recently suffered an issue. You can see here that it's showing developing 0. And what that means is that there's been some kind of a cataclysm that's hit the planet, and it's been devastated. If we go into the spreadsheet, you will see, it's in a previous turn. Lovely. So in a previous turn, there had been a note up above talking about the a pandemic that, let me go back to the map, a pandemic that had hit, the planet. And as a result, it's economically crippled. And normally this planet will produce 3 EP or 3 points of income, and it's been significantly reduced as a result. So because it's been significantly reduced, and the note talked about a pandemic, as it fits within the story and the narrative of the Old Kings, which is a recap, the Klingon Empire as it exists in this game and in this universe was the product of a more advanced species that pre-existed the Klingons. This more advanced species had come in and basically used Klingons as a slave-like race to be able to man their ships in space and do their manual labor on the various planets that they colonized. And so they had used genetic engineering to be able to manipulate the genes of the Klingons to create basically what we know as the bumpy forehead Klingons of the motion pictures and after, and then the smooth head Klingons of everything before in TOS. The smooth head ones were the ones that went to space, and they operated more effectively in that low gravity environment. And then the ridged forehead Klingons were the sort of manual labor that existed on the planets. That's the narrative behind this story and this Klingon campaign. And so as a result, the previous, we call them the old kings, that previous more advanced species had created pockets of research and development, and whether it was industrial or scientific or various other outposts throughout the system to be able to support and supply their burgeoning empire. In the narrative, there had been a sort of a massive conflict that had caused the old kings to be greatly weakened, and the Klingons had advanced and learned enough to be able to rise up against them and basically took back agency over their own species, their own empire, their own territory, and the old kings were eliminated. In this case, we have an old scientific outpost, what I call cryotombs and labs, latent labs, that exist on Kangor, Kangor being this scientific outpost. And during an unknown incident, a breach occurred and a viral infection was released into the population, which caused the gross infection of the entire population. And there's no, at this point in the game, there is a unit called a hospital ship, and different races or different factions will get them at different times. The Klingon Empire doesn't get them yet. So because I don't have these hospital ships, I can't deploy a hospital ship to help this planet. So because I lack the sort of the scientific and medical technology to be able to fight this pandemic, hence that note at the end of the video that says all we can do is watch from orbit, supply from orbit, and wait for the virus to burn itself out. And so that's what's going on in the context of the current campaign. But let's get into what's going on today. I have two pieces of news to share. One is The Stranger in the Dark, and the second is an email I literally received 15 minutes before going live. And I will share that information with you one at a time. Let's talk about The Stranger in the Dark. So I will get rid of this, and I will zoom out ever so slightly. One. I'll have to realign the map. I apologize. By the way, let me know in the comments if you prefer this view with me in the corner and the sort of boxed area here where you can see the map, or do you prefer this view here, which you can just see everything. So you let me know. I'm going to assume that this is a more visually entertaining screen to look at. So, but if you want, like I say, send me notes in the comments, and I will adjust. So here we are. I'll zoom out one more, and we can see the general kind of footprint of the Klingon Empire. None of the ships are on the map right now. I'm looking off to my screen, even though it looks like I'm looking off. Okay, so looking here. So you can see the general outline of the amount of territory that we've explored. You can see, as a general kind of update, you can see that there are these base stations in basically a hexagonal pattern around the homeworld. And again, as a reminder, this is so that these bases, which have this triangle, you can see the triangle there right under the YBS. You can see it's got this little diamond shape. That allows, if there are ships posted there or in that hex, they can react or move up to 2 hexes out to be able to support or defend or attack other units that would enemy units that would come into the space. So when you have these 2 hexes apart from each other, they can mutually support each other, and they can all support the homeworld as well. So in that same vein, we've gone 2 hexes out. We have a base station here in Papa 10, another one here in Lima 12, and as you can see, I've also started the same pattern in the south. So we've got a number of bases in the south, and the intention is to basically sort of go in this counterclockwise rotation, where bases are going to go down this way, and then bases are going to go up this way. And we'll see how that goes. So let me bring the ships back. Boom. So you can see a number of ships that we have exploring the area. You will notice in the northern section we have a couple D4Es. So these are the Y era. So just as a reminder, we started off in what we'll call W, or we'll call them like old, like the earliest level of tech, or nearly the earliest level of tech in this game. Then the next is Y, followed by M. So Y is sort of slightly more advanced. Then the modern or M era comes in. That's the Captain Kirk, Constitution class, Enterprise era. And then GW, or the General War, is the last level of technology we get to. So W, Y, M, and then GW. And that's where we're at. So right now, the D4 is a Y era ship that we've built. So you can see here we've got the D4Es. Now D4E is the exploration vessel. So the exploration cruiser, in this case, D4 is a cruiser, E exploration, and it's got that yellow diamond in the counter, and that just notes that it's an exploration or survey vessel. So it's doing its thing. You got one up there and one over here. I haven't gotten a second prime team, or in this case, dagger team, just the Klingon version of a prime team. These are specialty teams that help, and they can do various kinds of special missions. In the case of exploration, they help improve your chances of making a gray or fogged hex not fogged and discovering it. So we've got a couple of those down there, or sorry, up there, I should say. And then we've got the D3 down here, which is the D3 is a W era. And that doesn't change its effectiveness in its ability to explore a hex. The difference between the D4 and the DE, as you can see here, is its attack and defense factors. So a D3 is a 2-3, whereas the D4 is a 3-6. 3 attack, 6 defense, or in this case 2 attack, 5 defense. And also the 3s can only move 3 hexes at a time, and the 4s can move 4. So that's a little difference there. And excuse me again, I'm sorry with the voice. It's not being cooperative. So we got the D4s, we got the D3, and as you can see here, we've got these combination of the E1T, which is the kind of tug, and then a little escort. And what we're using the E1Ts for is to quickly move convoys to that location to be able to help build bases. We have this one pre-positioned here, and then this one is currently finishing construction on this YBS. And as you can see, I've pre-positioned a E1T here, which will move the convoy, that is, will move there and be able to build shortly. And so, like I say, moving down this way, and building out this sort of second ring. Now, you've had a moment here to be able to look at the map. Do you see something different? Do you see the stranger in the dark? So, as a recount of the history, and you can go back and watch other videos, other live streams, and the pre-recorded videos that I've put out here in the Lost Stars playlist. There's the Lost Stars playlist and the Lost Stars live stream playlist. If you go to the Lost Stars playlist on YouTube, you'll see that there are some pre-recorded videos. The one that talks about sort of the prologue to the beginning of this campaign, again, talks about the old kings. And in that, Kales, which was the leader that led the Klingon people out in revolt against the old kings, in his final days led a contingent of Klingons and just went off and explored the space beyond the system. He, in classic Kales mythology, said he would return at a time of great need, but he took the last of what were called the picket ships, or the sort of sophisticated ships of the old kings, to be able to transit the stars. The Klingon Empire at that time didn't have sort of homebrew built their own ships, but rather he just took one of the last picket fleet ships, the ships that had been left in that system to guard the system, to be able to go forth and explore. So what you'll see here as we zoom in, and I'll just scroll down here so you can catch a better view of this, you will see, so it's a white icon or a white counter only because there isn't an effective counter right now for sort of alien or non-player ships of a Klingon vintage. So because I'm a Klingon, if there were to be a Klingon counter there, that's not my ship. It would be hard to notice, or maybe perhaps it would go sort of it would be difficult for the player to recognize it. Black map, gray hexes, and then a black counter with a white background, but somehow it's different than the other black counters with white backgrounds. So the game master put this in, and in the next turn and the new update for Vassal again being the thing that we use here, they've got an update to be able to put unique characters or unique counters in for that. So here you can see the D6. Now, as a reminder of the D6 is the heavy cruiser that is TOS era versus the early era Constitution class. When I say early era Constitution class, if you remember your sort of Star Trek history and lore, there's sort of two iterations or more of the Enterprise. There's the early Enterprise, which is Christopher Pike, and then there's the later Enterprise, which is under Captain Kirk. Now, what's the difference between those ships? Arguably, depending, again, in this game, there is an early era, an early stage M era. So at the very beginning of M era, you'll get a number of different ship designs that come out. And then slightly later in that same period of time, there'll be an update or an upgrade to that ship. And what you'll notice in some of the classic races, such as the Federation, the Romulans, the Klingons, the first M ships that you get aren't quite sort of fully fleshed out. And in this case, the D6 fits into that. The D6 is, instead of what I would call a straight 8 cruiser, which is what most M-era cruisers are, it is a 7-8, meaning that it has 7 attack and 8 defense. And so this is an early M-era vessel. Now, obviously, it's not mine. It's not a Klingon ship because even though it's a D6 that's a Klingon design, it's not from the Imperial Klingon Navy, and we don't have ships of that advanced caliber yet. So what is this ship? Where is it coming from? First of all, where is it coming from? It just popped up there. Did it come out of the fog of war, the gray hexes? Who controls it? Is it some kind of legacy? Another perhaps species that had been subject to the old kings, and they also have the Klingon designs because it was the designs of the old kings. And are they flying that ship out? Is it a remnant of the old kings? Is it an old king vessel that's coming back to sort of claim the Klingons or come back to the Klingon space? Don't know. At this point, it's being treated as an unknown vessel and sort of like a raider or a hostile. So what do? We've got a D6, so it's very obviously a more advanced, capable, and combat-capable ship. It's got a 7-8 attack and defense factor. And what do I have in the area? I have these 2 bases, which, to be fair, if the D6 went to attack one of these bases, I'm pretty sure the base would get popped. Pop being just a term that I'll use to say that it was destroyed. Sweetie. Just one sec, everybody. Yep, thank you, everybody. Sorry, my lovely daughter is coming in. Tori, why don't you come on over? Sweetie? Yeah, come on over. Yeah, come on over. All right, let's switch the screen so everybody can see you. Whoop, hold on. My wrong hand, it's hard to do. There we go. Hello. Everybody, this is, please don't put me in the eyes, my love. This is my daughter, Tori.
Wait, I can't see everybody.
Yeah, there's no one else to see, sweetie, because they don't have cameras. Oh. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So I'm going to finish up my live stream here, okay, Munchkin?
Okay.
You going to go with Mommy? Wave bye-bye to everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Look at the camera. The camera right there.
Bye-bye. But I need to go pee, Dada.
Well, then you go pee. All right. Can you take Loki? Yeah, all right. No, sweetie. Okay. All right. Lovely. This is the exciting stuff of doing live streams on the weekend and having a wonderful family that just kind of crashes the party. I'll take a quick sip. All right. So where were we? Let's get back to the map. So as you can see here, we've got the D6. The D6 is the ship in question that is the stranger in the dark. So what can we do? How can we respond to this threat? Well, let me pull up, and I'll switch screens here so you can see the full spreadsheet. And there we go. All right, so this ship was discovered in turn 36. That's this column here. I'll zoom in so you can see this better. All right, so turn 36. Oh, sorry, it was the end of turn 36, and then the turn was returned to me. So turn 37 is the one that I'll be sort of responding in. So a couple things here. One, the D6 is a ship that is bigger, faster, stronger. And so as a result, I need to go to, I have the option of going to what's called limited war. What does that mean, Tony? Well, just from a purely number perspective, you can see here that in peace, we only get 50% of our income. And in limited war, we get 75%. And then at war, we get all of the money that we collect. You can do that for up to 20 turns. And then once you go past 20 turns, you start suffering what's called war fatigue. And your economy slowly decreases in its efficiency to be able to produce income. So in limited war, we're able to produce 75% of our income. And I will, I'll just switch the screen here briefly. And I'll just pull up the, as I, of course, am making the sounds, I'm going to pull up the information on limited war. My daughter's screaming in the back. Oh, we can be loud. Okay, so let's find the limited war piece. Okay. So here, and I'm going to zoom in again so you can see. Okay, so this is a spreadsheet that shows some of the rules that we play by. So in this free campaign, this is part of the, again, this is part of the Federation Empire rule set, and then we've got a number of rules that we make amendments to or changes. Here you can see that the free campaign rule 652, there are some changes here. So in this part here, you will see that it says in peace, 50% of the income, 50% of economic income, you cannot accumulate unspent EP, meaning you can't save money. And your fleet size is capped by the number of defense factors equal to your economic income multiplied by the Empire's tech level. Let's not worry about the tech level piece. Let's just focus on what constitutes limited war and not limited war. So here you can see limited war is 75% of economic income and fleet cap is as per peace. Okay, that's not an issue. Going down here, how can I go to limited war? Limited war. An empire may change its economy to limited war in order to raid, send more than one ship to deal with a pirate raider, or engage in military operations against a minor empire. Whoop, there we go. And of course, it's just jumping all over the place, just making it exciting for me. Lovely. Against, oh goodness, I apologize for the jumpingness of this. It's just not being, there we go. Against monsters, if a successful ID suggests more than one ship is needed, the monster approaches within 2 hexes of a planet or a colony, or the responding ship is destroyed, or if a base is destroyed. The Empire may change its economy to limited war. Yeah, it may. So basically, what are the criteria here? 1, I can go to limited war in order to be able to send more than one ship to deal with a pirate or a raider, or engage in military operations against a minor empire. So, does that fit the criteria of what we're talking about here? In this example, the D6 is a 7-8 ship. It is a more advanced. Well, if you were to treat it as a raider, it's more advanced, and it's a 7-8 ship. I don't have anything that can go toe-to-toe with that, so I'm going to have to send more than one ship to deal with it. Also, if it comes from a minor empire, meaning sort of an NPC, a non-player character, a non-player faction or race, then I'm going to have to deal with it that way as well. So no matter which way we want to go on that rule set, I can go to limited war. Great. What does that mean? That means that I can go to limited war and my income increases. So remember before I was building, or we were building more slipways, more advanced slipways for the Y-Tech or the like the D4, F4 era ships that we were building. So you can see here I've got a D4 slipway or a cruiser slipway, an F4, so it's like a destroyer slipway, 2 E2s, the E2s being the Y era, and then I've got 1 E1. So in this context, I am using this amount of time with the limited war economy to be able to build a cruiser, so a D4, costs 6 CP to do that. 2 of the E2s, those are the frigates, they cost 2 a pop, and I can build 2 of them for 4. And then 1 F4, which is 2.5 EP. So that, obviously, altogether, I'm looking at that and I realize my math is off because somehow I put 14.5 when actually it's 12.5. Lovely. So 12.5 EP. Doesn't change too much, but nonetheless, 12.5 EP produces that number of ships. Now, what does that mean? Well, if we go to the MSIT real quickly here, the MSIT just being, we'll call it our shopping list of what we can buy. You will see the D4 here has an attack factor of 4.6, right? So it's got a 4.6 versus that 7.8. It's not going to win. And it has a command, the things we want to think about, it has a command rating of 8, meaning that it can command up to 8 ships beyond itself. So essentially what that means is one battle force or one kind of fleet of ships that you send against a target, this ship can control 8 other ships. So it'll be this ship plus 8 other ships, which makes a total of 9. So it could take that many ships, it could take up to that many ships into a fight. The F4, which you can see here, instead of being a 4.6, is a 3.4 ship. Okay, so now we've got our total attack factor to 7, meaning the 4 and the 3, and then our total defense factors of 6 and 4, now 10. So I've got a 7-10 going up against the 7-8. Not too bad. And then if I include the 2 E2s that we're building, they each have a 2-3. So that brings a total of 4-6 to the fight. So another 4-6 plus the 4-6 of the D4 cruiser plus the 3-4 of the F4 destroyer. So now we have a total of 11 attack factors and 12 and 3. No, it was a 3-4. And so we have a total of 16 defense factors. So in this example, I've got a total of 4 ships attacking 1 ship, and I've got more attack and defense factors going into that fight. Again, because of the command rating for the cruiser, the D4 being 8, I can control all those ships in one particular battle force or one fleet, and they can all go and attack. Now, let's look at the map real quick. Now, if we look here, this is our capital hex, which is where all the ships are going to be built. All those, you may ask, Tony, why didn't you build that 1 E1? Because you could build one more E1, and obviously I initially thought that. That's why I had 14 instead of 12, because E1 would cost about 2 to build. The issue is that those W era or the E1 ship can only move 3 hexes. And as you can see here, 1, 2, 3, it's 4 hexes away. So in order for anything to reach it, it has to move at least 4 hexes. So in order to move 4 hexes, it can move 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4. I can basically hit anything here. So what we're going to do is we're going to build those 4 ships, the 2 frigates, the E2s, the 1 destroyer, the F4, and the cruiser, the D4, and we're going to send those ships to engage the D6. In addition, I'm going to send the D3 Echo into that fight as well. Why am I doing that? Because 2 things. One, The D3 Echo has the Dagger team on it. One of the special missions that a Dagger team has is that when you cripple an enemy ship, you can then use a Dagger team, or in this case, a Prime team or a Dagger team, to try and capture that ship. Meaning that if my ships get into a fight with the D6 and cripple it, in that round when it gets crippled, and any sort of round after that, the Prime team can try and capture the D6. And if I could capture the D6, how awesome would that be? So that would be exciting. Also, the D3, if we go back to the MSIT very quickly, you will see that the D3 Echo is a survey ship, and as a result, excuse me, that's the cold catching up with me. the survey ship, hold on one sec. Sorry, just had to wet my whistle there. The survey ship has electronic warfare capabilities, meaning that it has the ability to bring some EW to a fight. We can discuss EW in a different context, but it can potentially add, not only can it add its 2 attack factor, and then of course the 5 defense, but it can increase the, it can decrease the offensive capability using EW of the D6 versus my sort of my fleet. So that's one of the reasons why we would do that. So again, here, D3, it's a survey ship, as you can see here. It's not listing here specifically the EW capabilities of it, but let me see here. So you can see here, for example, and this is a change in the EW, and I'll have to talk to the game master. In the previous game, survey ships had EW, and I'm just going to have to refresh my memory with the game master as to whether we made a change in this iteration of the game when it came to early era, i.e. W and Y electronic warfare, whether we were going to apply that or how that was going to be applied. You can see here that a ground base has EW. And also when we go up to, we talked about, for example, the base stations having that little black diamond, they also have, you can see here, EW. The YDK, the docks also have EW as well. So there's EW factors built in there as well. But let's go back to the map. Let's go back to the pretty map. So you can see here that we've got the Stranger in the Dark, the D6, that's kind of shown up and is going to be interesting to deal with. We are building a fleet of at least 4 ships to be able to go engage or rendezvous with that ship. And of course, there's the D3 Echo, the survey ship, which is going to add itself to the fight and see how best it can contribute to capturing the D6. Do everything I can to try and capture that ship. It would be wonderful if I could. Now, let's talk about the email I got. So we talked about the Stranger in the Dark. That's the D6 and how we're going to deal with that. We've spoken about the pandemic being the incident that has occurred on that minor planet in the Klingon system that is affecting its ability to produce anything economically. So it has had an economic impact on my sort of balance sheet, and that's been sort of a negative thing. Now you'll have to excuse me as I look at my phone to look at this email. So I am getting this email about a warp trace that has been discovered. So this is based on, and I'm not sure which turn this is, but let me scroll down on the map and I will share with you where this has occurred. So I will read this to you first and then I'll go to the map. Bottle in QQ, or Quebec, however you like to do it. So Quebec 37 detects an SC3 warp trace in RR37 after I move. The warp trace will move next. There's a couple key things in there, and I'll share that with you. Let's go to the map. All right, so let's scroll down here, and this is bottle. Sorry, this is bottle. That's bottle 2. So this is bottle. Bottle at the time of this is in Quebec 37. So it's in this hex right here. So bottle in 37 detects an SC3 warp trace in Romeo 37. So it detects something here. The warp trace will move next. Now, why is that important? In this game, we have initiative, meaning that the person or any player with a smaller economy goes first. The player with the bigger economy goes last, and we just rank it. So if you have 5 players, for example, the person with the smallest economy will go first, and it will move up from there. If 2 people or 2 players had the exact same economy, whoever had the sort of smallest economy last will still can maintain going first, and then if things change, it goes from there. Now, why is this important? Because in this email that I've been told, and I'm not exactly sure what turn it is that this has occurred, but it's saying that I'm encountering a warp trace of an SC3, and I'll explain what that is in a second, and that it's going to move before I do, meaning that if it's another player, they have a smaller economy than me, and because of that, they have initiative over me, meaning that they'll always get to move first, which isn't necessarily a good thing, depending on your perspective. So back to the map. Here you can see that in Quebec 37, that's where my ship is, that's where bottle is, and there was something detected here. Let's take a quick gander over to the size of ships, and it's here somewhere. You'll have to, you know what? You don't want to see me scrolling through a spreadsheet. I will let you look at me and my ugly mug while I look for that. But effectively, the size of ship, oh, you know what? I can find it in economics, operations. Where is it here? Right. Okay, here it is. So let me just share the screen. Okay, so just as a recap, this is what we call the all player information spreadsheet that we have. You will see on the bottom here we have rule changes, we have a tech tree, the different things that go into the economics. So for example, I talked about there was a colony in the Klingon home system that improved into what's called a developing planet. I had a minor planet that got that's the one suffering the devastation, the pandemic, and then we've got all this stuff down here. You can see here, for example, we're talking about slipways. So you've got frigate, destroyer, war destroyer, light cruiser, that's what CL stands for, war cruisers, heavy cruiser, command cruiser, dreadnought, battleship, and then other things along here. We don't need to go into the details of that. That's not necessarily important for right now. What we're going to talk about is the size of ship. So, size of ship. You will see here that a size 4, size 3, and size 2. We can also actually go to the MSIT, and this will show us this as well. So let's go down to a D4, or where are you here? D4. So you'll see that a D4 is a, where is it? Oh my goodness. Huh. It used to be, yeah, okay. So there's this number here, and that's what it's referring. So, okay. So you will see here that in the D4 column, the base hull is a D4 in brackets 3. Ship class 3. That's the size of the hull. A dreadnought, which is a larger ship, is a 2. And a smaller ship, such as a destroyer or a frigate, is a size 4. It's counterintuitive. The larger the number, the smaller the ship. The smaller the number, the larger the ship. So a 4 is a destroyer or a frigate, a 3 is a cruiser, and a 2 is a dreadnought. And I don't have a battleship yet listed here. Oh no, battleship is still a 2. I see there. I do have a battleship listed there. I'm not sure what a 1 would be. I have not reached that point in this game. So going back to this map, you will see that in Romeo 37, the hex that's highlighted right here, there was a cruiser class ship that was detected. A cruiser class ship. Okay. Interesting. Let's take a quick zoom out. So that hex is in an interesting position relative to the map, and it'll be interesting to see what that is. So right now I'm there, 1, 2, meaning this ship would be about here. So there's a cruiser detected there, meaning there's probably something in this area, but we'll find out. In the next couple turns, I will find out. Interesting. So that's where we're at in the game. We have described and talked about the pandemic today, the pandemic in the game. And in the game, meaning that there has been a random event when it comes to the game mechanics, a random event of a pandemic that has occurred on that planet within the Klingon home system of Kangor. That pandemic has caused a decrease in economic output. It has been effectively devastated. And because of that, there is no significant economic output coming out from that planet, which is negatively impacting my balance sheet. That short video, which if you haven't seen it already, we saw at the very beginning of this live stream, I would encourage you to go see it again. Watch it on the channel. That is basically the role play, the narrative description of what's happening when it comes to that. The Stranger in the Dark. The Stranger in the Dark is the D6, which we have discovered on the edge of Klingon space. It's popped itself into the sort of the perimeter, the border region, the southern border region, and we have ships that we are building. We are assuming a limited war status. We are building ships to respond and deploying those ships to engage or encounter that vessel and figure out what's going on. The primary objective will be to capture that ship as best able, and if we're not able to capture that ship, destroy it. And then the third piece of exciting news was, as I just received it, hot off the press, just before coming live with you now, was the fact that I have detected another vessel, or at least one of my ships that's, looking to explore and discover things, has discovered another vessel. And it'll be very interesting to see who or what that is, because I'm either going to steer into it or it's going to steer into me to discover me, or I discover it or it discovers me. One way or another, we'll figure out what it is and we'll go from there. Also, it'll be interesting to see how that if it's another player, how do they respond? Do they just blow me out of the water? Do they start talking to me? What's the series of events that occurs? It'll be interesting to find out. So that is the update as it stands now when it comes to, we are at turn 36 going into turn 37. That update that I just received, I'm not sure where that sits in the turn cycle, because I had submitted my turn. I'd submitted the turn for this, and so the turn is progressing. I'm not sure where in the turn cycle that particular event will have occurred. I imagine I will receive some kind of notification afterwards, and we'll see how that goes. But that's where things are at the moment. Very exciting. One other little piece of note, I'm noticing, we're about 50 minutes into this live stream. Just before we sort of wrap up, I want to let you all know we lost a player in this game. So again, one of the challenges around playing this game is there's not a lot of folks that play Federation Empire, even know what Federation Empire is, or enjoy this kind of long-term gameplay. The primary objective of this live stream, of this show, of this content, is to be able to engage with you and see if there are any of you out there who enjoy this kind of stuff, this particular type of game, this Star Trek sci-fi kind of wargaming and role-playing kind of game. And if you enjoy that, providing you opportunities and ways to be able to reach and connect with us, those of us who are currently playing the game, and provide you opportunity to be able to play the game if you want to, and engage with us so that we can, if you would like to be a full-fledged player in a future campaign, that we provide you the opportunity to do so. Our objective here is to build that player base, to build that community, to build out a community of people who are interested in this kind of game, in this kind of science fiction, in this kind of fun, to be able to engage in this, play this, and build out that player base. Because of the way that we play this game, again, over basically online, it is a turn-based game that we deliver through a combination of Vassal being the map that you saw. That is the game engine that basically simulates the desktop version of this game. We play this currently in a way that is a free campaign or a 4X kind of game. The explore, expand your borders, exploit resources, and exterminate enemies. Like that's the way that we currently play this game. We've mapped out a whole tech tree and stuff, and it's very much sort of in the spirit of something like a Civilization. If any of you have played Civilization or any other kind of turn-based war game, strategy game kind of thing, it's very much in that vein. But because we deliver it over Vassal, and you can download Vassal and you can play this on your computer, because we do all of our turn processing using a simple Excel spreadsheet, anyone and everyone can play this game. We process these turns. We have a game master who processes these turns and who enjoys kind of like making sure it all fits. We engage in role play and different kinds of interaction to make the game more sort of more robust and more enjoyable than just a straight up war game. We definitely adding in those role-playing elements is crucial to how much fun we like to have. If that's your cup of tea, great. If it's not, that's fine too. We've had players who are just straight up, just give me the numbers, just the facts, ma'am. Sort of like a Friday or Wednesday kind of player. And then we have folks more like myself who like to really kind of build out a mythology and a narrative around the player, the faction that you're playing. So if you enjoy any of those things, if you enjoy this kind of gameplay, if you're enjoying just watching this content, then I encourage you, please write your comments below, reach out to us, and then sign on. And if you enjoy this content, please consider visiting the Patreon, which you saw at patreon.com/LostStars, and sign up and be able to support, even at a very small amount, just to be able to indicate your interest in this game, in this community, and in this content. Otherwise, please, whether it's hitting a like on YouTube or follow on Twitch, or if you want to subscribe and to be able to catch the latest and greatest as these turns go forward, then we'd really enjoy having you part of this community and engaging in this dialogue. With that being said, that's pretty much it for my update for you. And again, if you are looking to engage or test out whether you want to play this game, we have options for you on Patreon to be able to, whether it's take command of of a ship, of a task group, of a fleet, or even a province within the Imperial Klingon Empire. Or if you would like to sign up and be ready to be able to play this game in the future in another iteration or another campaign, then please put that in the comments below, and we would love to be able to have you as part of our community. That is all for me for today. Thank you so much for joining us here on the live stream for Lost Stars, and I am looking forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye for now. Kangor, the former station and hub of scientific and genetic research of the Old Kings, still has surprises in its cryotombs and latent labs. A breach of unknown origin has led to the release of a deadly pathogen. It ravages the minor world, quickly infecting the bulk of the population. With no choice but to quarantine the planet, the Klingon High Council sends aid from orbit, waiting for the virus to burn itself out.